I,
It's showtime.
I was gonna say, first off, hello everybody, and welcome to Taco Tuesdays. Man, am I glad to see you.
Yeah.
Take a seat, grab a margarita. It's. Let me tell you, when I say, when I say that today is gonna be the wildest experience of your life, I mean it. Now, we are here with the amazing Chuck Dransfield. He he
Hi,
he he
buddy.
he is my sidekick extraordinaire. Do not be
Yeah,
bothered if you
love it.
see comments here and also from YouTube. Please do not be disturbed by this phenomenon. It is
Oh,
just that I am
yes.
blind, and so we decided to just bring it a little bit closer so that Chuck and I. Chuck, of course, has those beautiful blue eyes of yours.
Well,
Yeah,
they're brown, actually.
they're brown. Okay, beautiful
They're brown.
brown eyes. Excuse
Some
me.
people say,
I should know that. I should know the color of your eyes. But anyway, so this is much easier for us to see it. And
yeah,
I'll tell you the other reason why I wanted to put the chat there for you is because I wanted to take you to the Coyote Mexican restaurant on Sepulveda. So what
I
do you say? Do we go
that.
there and have some tacos?
I'm looking forward to it. And truthfully, I could use one of those margaritas right
Yes, and
there.
the El Coyote has the $2 margaritas, the famous $2 margaritas.
Oh, I don't think they're $2 anymore unless they have a very happy hour.
Oh wow! Now I love the painting behind you. Can you tell me who that is
Well,
and
yeah.
tell me a little bit about it?
Anybody familiar with Barbra Streisand in Funny Girl? This is Fanny Bryce, the woman she
Oh,
in Funny Girl, and of course she won a Best Actress Oscar for playing Fanny Bryce. I love the old stars, and I just thought it'd be fun to paint her portrait. So this is a work in progress right now.
so who is this? This is Barbara Streisand as Fanny
No,
Bryce?
no, no. This is Fanny Bryce, the
There
real
is a
life
real
Fanny
Fanny
Bryce.
Bryce.
Yeah, real life Fanny Bryce.
So Barbara Streisand was playing the actress Fanny Bryce.
Yeah,
I
yes.
didn't know
But
that. Oh
Fanny
my
Bryce was
God!
a legend of the Ziegfeld Follies, the Broadway theater, radio. She did movies, but her story was heavily fictionalized for the Broadway musical Funny Girl, which of course became the movie musical that Barbara won her Oscar for, and she later did Funny Lady a few years later as a sequel.
You are so wise. Okay, I have another question for you.
Okay.
When you were painting Fanny Bryce, I know that you do mediumship.
Yeah.
Did did you develop a relationship with her? Did she talk to you? Did she come?
Um, I felt her essence as I do with just anybody that I paint. I don't know that she was actually talking to me. I wasn't really searching for that. I was just more or less trying to get the essence of her soul, her personality, to capture that humor. That I wanted to get that sparkle in her eyes. You know, her most famous character was a little girl called Baby Snooks, which she played on the radio.
Oh
And,
wow.
yeah, and the people who worked on the show said she was such a method actress. It would take her about a half an hour to get into character. She would do the show, and it would take a full hour for her to get out of character. She would still be that
A child?
naughty little girl, the little brat.
Wow, that is
And
awesome.
I think that's what I was channeling more than anything.
Now, a couple more questions since
Yeah.
we got you here. We can talk politics till the cows come home, but Taco Tuesdays, man, it's all about LA, man. And I'm going to be in LA August
I
8th.
know you are. I can't
We're
wait.
shooting for 4 days. We're shooting. You and I are
Yeah.
filming for four
Oh, we're
days.
gonna.
How does that feel? How does that freaking
I
feel?
am
Is
so
that nice?
stoked. I am so excited. I haven't seen you in person. What was it been? 2 years now?
Yeah. So
But
we're gonna be doing Taco Tuesdays live out of LA.
yeah, we sure
So
are.
it's gonna
We should do it from El
gonna be
Coyote
awesome.
if they would let us. Or we
Now,
have margaritas in our hands.
that's right. Now, a couple things. First off, the strike has been kind of quiet lately. The Screen Actors Guild strike, is that right?
Well, there's no negotiations going on, from what I understand, but there's certainly plenty of outrage. People may have seen the news coverage today. It went East Coast. There was a tremendous rally in Times Square.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
Bryan Cranston gave a very impassioned speech.
Oh,
And
good.
the solidarity amongst the actors is only strengthening. Because if you know actors, which we both do, actors are deeply impassioned people. And these are people who, by their very nature, they're survivors because they have
Ooh, yeah.
very tough industry. So that is ingrained to them. So I'm getting from the people I talk to, the people I see on the news, people are digging in their heels and they're getting ready for a fight. And one person said to me, he said, look, we're giving up our income. We're giving up about 6 months income at least here. We're not working. That's how strongly we believe in this. It's like a fight for right or wrong and a chance to get things correct.
So do you think that the direct producers are just starving them out? They'll come crawling back
I think that's
eventually?
the general thinking. There have been allegedly some producers who have said off camera, off record, let's let them lose their houses. Let's see them not be able to pay their rent. Let's just see how long they're going to last.
Jeez, that's
But
horrible.
something to counter that. SAG has a special fund that has been in place, I learned, since 1985, actually, to help actors who are in trouble, people who are on the edge of maybe losing their home or whatever. And I saw a beautiful thing today. The actor Dwayne Johnson, they didn't say the specific amount other than it was 7 figures. He made a massive donation to the fund today, and SAG said it's the biggest donation they have had in their history. And that's
how
another
you
thing.
do
We
it.
hear this about the upper,
Spread the
we
wealth.
hear this about the upper 2%. The upper 2%. Like the Barbra Streisands, the Jane Fondas. The upper echelon. But you have to remember, these are people who have wealth. They have great wealth, and they also have tremendous public influence. And we're seeing already, like with Dwayne Johnson, they're starting to come out and they're sharing of what they have to help this, shall we say, lower 98%. I think we're going to see a lot more of that as time goes on.
Wow. The other big news the other big news I wanted to just touch on has to do with the box office, which I think that kind of took me by surprise. The two top, it's a Barbie and Oppenheimer. Is that correct? Are the two leading?
Barbie and Oppenheimer together, I think I read, brought in about $300 million at the box weekend. Barbie, 155. I hope I'm saying that right. I think it was 155 million, the biggest opening of this entire year. I was shocked, and it seems like everybody I know who's seen the movie loves it. My friend Anastasia, you know her. She's quite the film and aficionado.
Right.
She saw it and adored it, and said the screenplay is so intelligent that it has a great message. The performances are great. It's Greta Gerwig directing. It's like everybody's saying this is a must-see movie.
I've got to see Oppenheimer. Barbie, I don't know. What's the story with Barbie? People are giving it rave reviews, but I'm like, I will not spend money to see a movie like that. But at the same time, I'm curious. What's the story with Barbie?
Well, I'm hearing that the movie is pro-feminist.
Oh, okay.
It takes a strong stand. Got to remember, it's a female director behind this. You don't get people like Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, major serious actors to attach to a project if there's not substance to it. So I'm starting to see it all come together now. But 2 weeks ago, I never would have believed this. I don't know.
Wow. So maybe, hey, I know when you and I get together, maybe we'll go see Barbie. Well, you'll probably see Barbie before.
Maybe we will. No, I'll wait for you. Hold on.
Wow.
I'm trying to see if that can me read a little better here. We've been having technical difficulties here.
Yeah.
And
but we'll get through it.
Large, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, it looks like this is coming from Debbie Brady from the director. She says that the breaking news is that Russian drones have struck 800 feet from the NATO border, and UK had reported this morning. It's interesting. They feel like Poland could potentially get into the war, which is a NATO country. And you have this Wagner 2.0 that's starting to be based out of Belarus. And It's very scary. It's very, very scary what's starting to happen.
Whimsy, if I may ask you, is Poland considered a neutral country?
Well, it's NATO, so
NATO.
no, I would say it's not neutral.
So it's not neutral.
It's on NATO. It's part of NATO.
Yeah.
So NATO was built to basically protect the West from,
Right.
The Soviet Union. Then the Soviet Union collapsed. So the argument was, do we need NATO if there's no longer a Soviet Union?
Yeah.
And so that's the whole
But
controversy.
it concerns me that they're starting to invade Eastern Europe. This is how World War II began.
Well, the other thing is that it goes back a lot to the remote views we've done in the past, where Putin said he wanted control of the Black Sea, he wanted the port of Odessa specifically, and that he wanted to have control of
Yeah.
trade and the profits that come from those ports. So, uh, you know, at this point, it's like, man, is this guy not going to be happy until NATO marches on Moscow? Because it's really getting to that point. I just want to read something else that Debbie Brady is saying. She says that the British Defense Ministry on Tuesday released an update on Moscow's bombardment of Ukraine's shipping operations, which began anew last week after the Kremlin withdrew Black Sea grain initiative. Yeah, exactly. So basically, it goes back again to wanting profits and feeling that they had lost their profits, lost their money after they lost the Soviet Union. They lost the profits that were coming from those ports. It isn't just that now the port is controlled by Ukraine. All the profits that come from running a port now go to Ukraine. And that's what's pissing Russia off, because they built the port of Odessa.
Well, understandably. And also that you got to remember their economy is just collapsing right now from all the sanctions from around the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It has to be tightening, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, maybe we will blitz away on it a little bit later. I just want to just mention briefly before we do the impasse prayer and we start to blitz away. I wanted to mention that at 6:00 today, after the show, we have our the Book of the Month Club. Y'all, you know about that, right, Chuck?
Absolutely.
How are you liking this book, by the way?
I love this book. My book is actually quite dog-eared from carrying it around.
Oh, me too. Are you doing the little tiny thing?
Yeah, and that's always a good sign. When a
right.
book is dog-eared and used looking after you're done with it, it means you've really poured through it.
Yes. Well, Ellen's going to be here at 6.
I'm looking forward, but I really want to meet her.
I met her briefly when we were frantically dealing with all the computer stuff.
Poor Ellen.
But
what we were going through.
Right. But what I think we can do now is we're going to go ahead. We'll do the impasse prayer. I think everybody would like to hear the impasse prayer. And after that, we can just field questions. We can blitz away. There's a lot of hot topics to talk about. People are upset about what's going on with Alabama.
Yeah.
They're not honoring the decision of the Supreme Court. People are upset about what's going on in Israel with the weakening of the Supreme Court there. People are upset about the war, Trump's target letter, the fact that he could be facing indictment soon. So many 15 minutes. No, Whimsy? Impasse prayer. I don't know what the 15 minutes is. Yes, we've been here for 15 minutes.
We've been having fun.
Yeah.
I hope everybody.
Yeah, we talk 15, 20 minutes, and then we do the impasse prayer. Then we blitz away.
I mean, get together, we're like two houses on fire.
It's good.
I know it's good. That's why we're going to have a hell of a 4 days when you get out here.
I think, you know what? We're going to shoot a lot of good stuff. We're going to do a lot of.
We are.
We're going to do a lot of pre-taped, and we're going to do a lot of improv, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I'm looking forward to it very much.
I am as well. So we're going to go ahead. We'll do the impasse prayer. Feel free to ask your questions. I know Joel is here, Debbie's here, as is Geocosmic Valentine, and several other people I've seen running around. Yes, you will be seeing the questions here and here.
Yeah.
And that's just to help us with the chat, because we can't see very well. All right, let's do the impasse. Right. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, as a community, we say, Amen. Amen, everyone.
Amen.
All right, so we're just going to go one by one through all the questions.
I have to get up close to the screen. I apologize, everybody. Let's see. Are there any questions? I'm not seeing any.
Oh, adult women are dressing up in pink to see Barbie, says Marie Sprout. You know what? I saw 2 women today in pink. And and the type of pink, it's that shocking kind of candy pink, Chuck. And I got to say, I think it's so unattractive. And it's almost like they're wearing it because they're trying to make a statement. And I don't know what the statement is, but it's not attractive.
I'm not sure what the statement is either, but that's the point. But you know what? People are having fun with this. And I think that's the most important thing. Wear bubblegum pink if that's what you want.
That's what the color is. Bubblegum pink. That's right.
Bubblegum pink, exactly. Barbie pink. I don't know what you would call it. Barbie's Dreammobile pink. I'm just looking. I'm not seeing any questions scrolling on my screen yet. Do you see any, Whimsy?
Well, on the far right here, people are just happy to be here.
Just happy to be here.
You know what? I think maybe people got into the tequila early. I don't know.
Well, then we're way behind everybody. Let's see. I saw something just pop up here. With everything going on, it's in the world. I am happy just to have this channel and community. Love you all. Thank you, Sarah. Marjorie said, I'm in my pink outfit right now. I'm going as Medicare Barbie.
Oh, that works. That works.
There's a Barbie doll to hold up right now.
I tell you, I like Dusty Rose. I like the color Dusty Rose. And yeah. Do you see Joel? I don't even see his questions.
Joel says we can see your questions. Let's see. I see Nicole said the pink reminds me of the Women's March. That's a good point. Remember, I hate to say this, it's a vulgar term, but those pink hats, they were
to be the labia.
They were P-word hats. I don't want to say the word, it's vulgar, but
pussy hats.
Pussy hats. Okay, Whimsy, you said it. I'm reluctant.
Oh my God! Look, Joel asked. He wants to know if U.S. Marshals arresting Governor for not following the ruling. Alabama, we had marshals come in on Alabama. I want marshals to go in on Alabama and Florida with their crazy education system. I mean, they've lost their damn minds out of Florida. But let's take a look.
So too.
Yeah, for some reason, Joel is not showing up here. And I don't know if it's because, I don't know what's going on. Have you noticed that Joel doesn't appear here?
I have, do I have Joel here? Joel we can see your questions. Joel asked about, of course, seeing that.
He wants to know about the U.S. if U.S. Marshals are going to come in to Alabama.
That's good.
Do you think U.S. Marshals?
Whimsy, I'm getting a no.
I'm getting that they have it there. I'm getting yes, that's precise. Things could get really bad in Alabama if they don't cooperate. It's really that Trump was the Confederate president in a way, wasn't he? I mean, he was really a Confederate.
Considered him such.
Yeah, so we have a judgment to determine whether or not to bring the military. The King of Swords is the military. And the other that we're having issue with, so there could also be financial, they could be withheld financial support or aid from the feds. Look at that with an Ace of Pentacles. Yeah. There could be also facing aggressive reaction with a Queen of Wands and an investigation into the people responsible. Ace of Cups and Page of Wands leads me to think that they'll be given an opportunity to cooperate, and fear of action or retaliation by the feds will cause them to cooperate, because Ace of Cups is like we're giving you a gift or an opportunity to avoid jail time.
Yeah.
So it's not like they have a choice.
Mm-hmm. I wonder why I was getting such a strong no at the pendulum. I don't know if there could be ensuing circumstances that were swaying that, but your cards seem far more accurate.
Well, mine said no, because they're going to get scared and take the deal. They tested the feds in the 1960s when they in Alabama, when they tried to keep segregation alive. You know, the Jim Crow laws. We had to literally go in, and now they're what this is Jim Crow 2.0 we're looking at. Only it's far more sweeping. They're not just going after one group; they're going after multiple groups at the same time. Going after women, the LGBTQ plus community. It's terrifying. It's a very, very terrifying, and it's not over. I mean, what I've said to people is that I mean, this is a slow rolling coup, and it's still going on. It's not going to be. I think that President Biden needs 2 terms. I think he needs 2 terms.
I agree.
And I think that he's going to get I think he's going to get Congress back in 2024.
Okay.
And I think it's because I really, yeah.
Whimsy, I'm sure you've covered this before in your cards, but do you feel that Biden will win his 2nd term?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, his cards were actually really strong. We threw cards on him Thursday, and it showed that he would be reelected. Romanian ship was attacked by Russian drone in Romania. Yeah, see, I feel like what's going on with Russia right now is that they're trying to get NATO to go to war so that they can get their allies to be involved. They want China and Syria to start to participate. And the only way that they're going to get their allies to go to war against NATO is if they feel like they're being attacked by NATO. So they're provoking a first strike response. They're trying to provoke Poland. They're trying to provoke this. Let's go ahead and take a look. We'll do a quick throw on it to see what's going to happen with the Romanian ship being attacked. Is Romania going to get into the war?
Is Romania going to get into the war? Is Romania going to get into the war? Is Romania going to get into the war? I'm getting a nebulous, a maybe to possibly yes. Possibly, but it's more in the indeterminable area based on the circumstances of right now.
It's just crazy, you know. From Putin's perspective, Putin sees it like the 50 United States. He really sees it as the same thing. Imagine giving Alaska to the people of Alaska and saying, okay, you get the port, you get all the profits, and America can take none of the profits from Alaska. It now belongs to Alaska. He sees it like that. Yeah. So in Putin's mind, great, you can go ahead and give Texas back to Mexico. You can give California back to Mexico. You can give Louisiana back to the French. I mean, his view is that Americans are hypocrites. You have this attempt at theft. You know, 7 of Swords is a theft card. So, and then the spoils of war, man, the 9 of Pentacles. I feel it's a desperate attempt to try and get his allies involved in this war. And the Knight of Cups can be a peace offer. I read 9 of Cups also as an ambassador, you know, a diplomat who goes to offer peace with the cup. The Knight of Cups would indicate that there's an opportunity here for an armistice. And we've talked about the fact that the CIA and British intelligence would start recruiting and seducing people in the military. And the bottom line is that they pay better than the Russian military does. And so they began paying informants from inside Russian military. And that in and of itself could be the thing that topples Russian military. They're basically being bribed.
Whimsy, I had a question here from earlier. I cannot get this to scroll back, but somebody was asking about Governor Abbott in Texas, what's going on with the border right now, the lawsuits. I wish I could find the rest of the question here.
Yeah, I was looking at a couple of those, and I really do feel like Mayorkas is being obstructed by Homeland Security. The head of Homeland Security cannot investigate Homeland Security because Homeland Security is obstructing the investigation. So he is at war with his own agency. That is the first thing you feel when you go into the energy of Homeland Security. So Homeland Security out of Texas is very corrupted. And then you have, who was the guy that recently, I wrote a note about it.
I had a note here too. I'm trying
to the guy out of Texas who, Ken Paxton. So he was in trouble with Homeland out of Texas. So it's pretty corrupt, Homeland. But let's take a look at what's going to happen in Texas. Overall, though, I don't see the feds should just start cutting funds at the very least.
I'm just struck by all the cruelty of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, just against humanity.
Yeah. In the name of Christianity.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. This is the ultimate in hypocrisy.
A lot of things happened, right? There were a lot of people that witnessed or testified. Mayorkas is now doing hearings, things that were done at the border. And that's what they're trying to shut up is the investigation. People, evidently people were killed at the border. Children were now, one of the witnesses testified, a migrant worker, that government people came in, were taking children away from parents.
Yeah. Yes.
So all of that dirty, awful, evil stuff that was happening is Mayorkas' investigation. And they're going to do everything in their power to cover it up. Death of the situation over Texas. But look, I'm telling you, Texas is going to be a great state someday. Texas State Attorney General Ken Paxton. Yeah, look at that. A new beginning. But look at this. That devil card over Texas.
Wow.
I think it's temptation, drugs, money, power, grief over Texas as well. We have a lot of corruption over there.
Do you feel that card could even apply to Governor Abbott? Because I get really, really bad vibes from him, really negative energy.
Well, I'm surprised there, it goes back to the investigation that Mayorkas was asked to do by DOJ. He should be charged with kidnapping or human trafficking.
Thank you. I agree with that. I know our governor here in California feels that way.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. Are you ready for the next question?
Yeah, let's go for it. Also, if you haven't had a chance to like and subscribe yet, it would be really, really great to support the channel. Also, memberships are great, donations, all of that wonderful stuff.
Yeah, folks, thank you for your patience.
We like donations. We like
yes, we do.
We like memberships. We like subscribers. Or just to like the stream really helps too.
Yeah. Will Homeland Security be abolished by Joe Biden?
Oh, I can't imagine, but I
couldn't imagine that either.
Let's take a look. But you think because it's so corrupted, we have to break it down and start all over again?
I don't know. That was the question as it was put here. Just looking to see what else. Homeland Security. Biden. It just does not seem possible.
I don't see an end, but man, they've really got to heal Homeland.
I think that's what we're getting.
I feel also the situation gets worse and worse and worse because of what people have been talking about for years and years and years, which is global warming and the fact that there are temperatures on this planet that are getting up to 130, 140 degrees. It's not sustainable for human life. And so there are parts of the world where people used to grow things. Things don't grow there anymore because the temperatures are too high.
Yeah.
And so you have these mass migrations starting to happen because parts of the world are becoming uninhabitable, either through drugs, violence, or simply climate changes. And so these crazy migrational patterns are nothing that we didn't know was going to happen. We knew this was going to happen with global warming. And for the Republicans to now be shocked and say, oh my God, where did all these people come from?
Yeah.
Hear what Al Gore said years ago about how this was going to have an impact on migration. And now we're seeing it.
No, we are. My God.
Yeah.
It's just I know it's a cliche to say a domino effect, but that's what it is. There's one falls, another falls, another falls. What we're seeing with climate, talking about, I'm sure you saw the oceans, areas where the oceans are now up to 100 degrees, like in around Florida, the Caribbean.
Oh, I heard something about that. Yeah.
Ocean life is dying. Coral reefs that have been around for hundreds of years have died in just the last week. So I just shudder to think what this is doing to the entire eco balance of the planet. And going back to what you're saying about people having to migrate because they can't grow food.
Well, let's take a look and see if we get a yes or no positive answers regarding immigration in the future. Will Biden's administration be able to do something? Because we're talking about massive numbers of people that are having to leave areas of Central and South America.
Biden administration be able to do something. I think I know why my pendulum is going the way it is, because that is a complex, multi-tiered question, actually. Because to say something, quote unquote, something entails much. But what do your cards show on that?
They say that the focus is going to be on sustainable living in people's countries. So the need to leave because people are upset about people don't. Mexico does not want Mexicans to leave Mexico. They're losing their job force. What can we do to entice you to stay in Mexico, in Central America, etc.?
That's a good point.
Yeah, we want you to stay in Nicaragua.
Yeah.
We want you to be happy here. So if you look at it from the perspective of how do we create a viable economy in these countries that are seeing people leaving either because of economic hardship, global warming, all the other challenges that are going on, this card chart would indicate that the focus is more on how do we help people stay where they're at and thrive where they're at, whether it's building more greenhouses and sustainable indoor farming. But the situation is going to change very, very quickly.
Yeah. Well, I know that, it's been almost the opposite, that Biden has been criticized for making it, Republicans are saying he's making it too easy for people to migrate across the border. If they have like an American sponsor, if they're in a legitimate crisis, they're being there's allowances being made to allow them into the country. So I like what you're saying, find solutions within the country so they can stay in their homeland.
So you have and this is an ethics card. This is about the church or ethics. And what I like here is about building something new, constructing new opportunities and creating new partnerships. So we don't have to be vicious and horrible to people from Central and South America. This is building new structures that create strong partnerships in the future. People shouldn't have to leave. Let's find a way to make it work. Let's create sustainable ways of food supplies in those areas, and that's what I see.
I think that's a beautiful solution.
Yeah.
If that can be executed, that certainly seems the way to go. I'm looking to see if we have any questions here. We have a comment from Tony. What's that?
Just my eyes. I'm like, oh.
Okay. Tony has a comment here. We need a joint military sweep with Mexico to end drug cartels. That's a comment. I wish this is not letting me scroll through the questions.
Oh, well.
I don't know if you have.
To the right, you can see a bunch of knobs, and one of the knobs says chat, but it might not be available on your iPad.
It's not available, and I don't want to take a chance of cutting us off.
Yeah, don't even bother.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, we're having a couple today was a bad technical day. Does
my God.
anybody know if Mercury is retrograde, by the way? Because
I don't know. Something is in retrograde. I mean, folks, you should have seen us 10 minutes before we went on the air. We are amazingly calm right now, I think, considering everything. And I think we're rolling with the punches.
I think we are rolling with the punches. So there's a lot of conversations right now. People are talking a lot about what's happening in Israel. I don't know if you've checked out what's going on in Israel with the centralizing of power with the Knesset. What do you think about that?
But it certainly seems to be, the conflict seems to be, and this is the judicial against the executive.
That's right.
With past. And I was very surprised. I saw in a news report that Israel has no written constitution.
That's right. We don't have a written constitution.
Right. So I looked that up. I looked it up to verify it. That is true. And so that's where a lot of this complexity is coming from, and why there's more weight with these decisions, these judicial judgments.
Yeah.
And I know that the prime minister of Israel more or less said, let's just stay calm. Let's sit this out. It will balance on its own. I see.
Yes, but because he himself is facing charges for all kinds of things, including taking bribes. So the concern people have is that Netanyahu, the prime minister, is centralizing power with the Judea party, these right-wing parties, and that ultimately it's going to be bad for Israel.
Yeah. Here's a question. Includes Central and South America to NAFTA to ease the migrant crisis. I'm sorry, I'm just reading that as it's here as a question. Judicial oversight. Here's one from Rose. And Mercury's shadow starts on August 3rd. And the real retrograde starts mid-August. So we can't blame it on the Mercury retrograde.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? And we're filming in August. We're filming the first show.
Well, we're filming the first week, so I think we'll be okay. Very beginning shadow of it. But it's mid-August when, shall we say, the shit hits the fan. Venus is in retrograde right now.
That's also when they say a lot of this stuff is going to go down with Trump. Can I just read everything that's going on with Trump? I thought you guys are going to appreciate this.
Okay. Okay.
Here is everything that's going on with Trump. October 2nd, he's facing fraud charges out of New York. Okay. January 15th, he's facing defamation with Eugene Carroll.
God.
January 25th, he's being charged for his involvement in a pyramid scheme. March 25th, New York hush money payment trial.
And
May 25th, classified documents trial. And he still hasn't gotten charged by Fanny Willis, and 2 more indictments coming out, federal indictments coming out in the next couple of days, possibly. So yeah. August is hot. It's going to be hot.
It's going to be hot for a certain man.
Spicy. Oh, my Lord.
Oh, I'm just seeing notes here. 2 full moons in August. We got a full moon August 2nd.
What the hell am I doing? Why? That's the other thing. I should have had you come here. Why am I going to Los Angeles in August? What a nightmare, man.
Oh, I'm sure we're going to be okay. Whimsy, if we can survive what we went through the 10 minutes before the show today, we are going to be just fine. We've already walked through the coals. Here's a comment from Tony. Can't believe Melania hasn't filed yet. And I got to agree with Tony. I honestly thought she would have left him a long time ago.
Oh yeah, let's take a look.
Let's take a look at that.
I think she has. Hasn't she? Hasn't she left him? Let's find out. Has Melania left him? Because she was seen in New York with her kid, and he is 17.
Has Melania left Donald Trump? I tell you what I'm getting is she hasn't formally left him, but I think she left him years ago, frankly.
Do you think that she is an informant with the feds?
Whoa. Whoa,
Got a
that's
financial opportunity.
whoa, is Melania?
The Cheeto is over here. She's going to be able to protect herself. She's got her own money. Look at that. Look at that. She gets her own money. She must have had something in her her prenup that protected
Her
her.
dowry?
Yeah, but the sun's coming out. So
Yeah.
Barron is 6'7". My goodness.
Yeah. Somebody asking if she's Putin's spy. Well, I don't know about that. But
I don't see her with Trump. I don't see
either.
her with Trump.
That's why I was getting, when I was asking the pendulum, I was just getting what I kind of have always known. I sensed when he was in the White House, they weren't really together.
Right.
Hardly ever heard from the woman. She would disappear for weeks at a time. I think she was okay. This is, I know this is an audacious statement to make, but frankly, I think she's always just been on his payroll.
Yes, yeah, I think, yeah. You know what, though? It kind of, the cards would suggest that Melania is a much stronger person independent of him. By the summer, she emerges as the Queen of Wands. I think she's on her way out. But look at this financial support, the world. I can't guarantee she'd necessarily even stay in the United States with those types of cards.
Yeah. Oh, God. I'm just looking.
Is she Serbian? Or is she from, no, not Serbian. She's not Serbian. She's not. Is she Croatian? Maybe Croatian.
I thought she was Serbian, but maybe one of our viewers could help us there. But I'm reading comments here. Gold digger Melania. I think Melania was getting paid to stay with Trump, as we just said. Michael said, "Imagine translating Kremlin communication in the Lincoln bedroom. Memoirs of a hell stinky." Here's a comment. Melania's granddad was a KGB informant in World War II. Has that been confirmed?
I think that's actually true. Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah, and of course, and she's from Slovakia.
Oh, I knew. Yeah, I didn't think Serbia, Slovakia. Okay, well, that's actually nice. I've been to Czech. I haven't been to Slovakia, but I've been to Czech. Yeah. Similar.
I haven't been that.
It's beer, sausage, cheese, bread, pretty much like everywhere else. and great tomatoes. Yeah, they have really great. They have great produce.
Yeah, I'm seeing people are making comments. I'm not seeing too many questions just yet. Oh wait. So, Tony said she knows 10 languages. 10 languages. All those languages. Must she be a spy?
That's actually true. That a lot of people. Because my ex-boyfriend was from Baku, and he was born in Azerbaijan, but he could speak his mother tongue, what he calls his mother tongue, which was the language of Azerbaijan, and he could also speak the local languages. And they learned school because it was part of the Russia. They would learn Russian in school, and then the second language was French. Right. So he had the French. He had French. He had Azerbaijani. He had Russian in school. He had English. He had German. He learned German because he moved to Germany.
Yeah.
Turkish. Crazy. They really incredible linguists from that part of the world. Yeah. It's really
I've always envied people who could speak multiple languages. It's a definite talent. I've tried a couple of times. I've tried with French and Italian. That's just not my forte. Maybe I need to have the right teachers here.
You gotta do the Duolingo. You gotta do the Duolingo.
Yeah. This is an interesting comment from Marie. She said, I read that Melania was worth more than Trump on paper. And that would surprise me because I don't think Trump is worth anything near he claims to be.
But also, she probably doesn't have the same extreme spending habits. I mean, the guy is a total hoarder. He hoards everything.
Well, and as we also mentioned, she's a very shrewd woman. So I would imagine that would extend to her finances. please correct, Slovenia, not Slovakia. That is coming from one of our people. Is it Slovenia?
Slovenia.
Yeah,
Slovenian.
Slovenian. Melania Trump is a Slovenian American, of course, a former model and businesswoman.
Not Slovakia, Slovenia. Okay.
Okay. We apologize.
We are dumb Americans. We are dumb.
Yeah, we apologize. Thank you for
So next time, okay, we got to talk about this before we close today. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised everybody is not talking about it, because it is the main subject, and that has to do with the fact that people think that Biden could be, or excuse me, that Trump could face. What was the question?
Here's $1 million question. I hope I didn't interrupt you.
Oh, it's okay. Maybe we get something better.
Will the Republican Party ever return to normal? Is that a loaded question?
Let's go ahead and do that. We'll do that, and then.
Of course, then again, how do you define normal?
Well, right now it's Trump's party, right? Right now.
Yes, that's a good point. It's the MAGA Republican Party now, as opposed to what they used to call the Lincoln Party. I've heard that terminology before.
Yeah, it's definitely not Abraham Lincoln's party right now.
Yeah, party to normal.
Oh my God, no!
No, I got that too, Whimsy.
The party is in so much trouble. Look at this. The party implodes.
Oh my God! Because my pendulum was giving me. It was going back and forth. Very strong no. And even I was questioning that, because I just thought surely it has to balance out sooner or later. But you're confirming ocean, which
there are people that are opposed to Trump that want to start a new Republican Party. That but the reason they're afraid to do it is because they're afraid it would weaken conservatives. Yeah. They've done so much damage. This is
a good question here. The big question was it ever normal? Did Trump just show us what they're really made of?
Well, I think that they took Reagan's privatization and money is good and let's get rich and the whole Reagan greed, and they kind of went for it. I mean, when you think of everything crazy that happened under Trump, it wasn't just greed and money. It was greed, money, drugs. I mean, look at what happened with the White House doctor. The fact that the White House doctor was accused of handing out Ambien to all of Trump's friends, right? I mean, it wasn't just about the greed. It was about power without restraint, indulgent without restraint. Yeah. And it's interesting. Yeah. What do you think? Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just bothered by the validation of so much anger and cruelty.
Yeah.
That seemed to be behind how Trump still builds his support. He panders to those very people. And it shocks me the number of people who are magnetized by that. Let's see, I'm just looking at some questions here. Afraid Christie Cheney will emerge. Perhaps that's a good question. Like, is there going to be someone who is going to emerge, become the front runner over Trump?
I think eventually. I mean, I think that we have to get through August. I think a lot of stuff goes down this August, and we're just going to have to wait for the dust to settle.
Yeah.
Because so much is going down, so many of the charges, and we're going to know who flipped probably in August too, which is, I think, why Trump was asking about the target letters. So
probably so, yeah. Well, I think we already know the answer to this, but Marvel is asking, will Biden be impeached?
No,
I don't think so either.
No,
I don't.
It won't happen. More indictments in August. Yes, August. Yeah. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up this portion, and we're going to start getting ready for our book club pretty soon, I think.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to add before we switch gears and start talking about the book? I'm pretty excited about the book. I
I'm
don't know
excited
about you.
about it too. I personally love the book, and it's something that I identify with because I do spirit writing myself. And I was struck by the overwhelming authenticity as I read the book. The way she calls the spirit guide cave woman. I'm sure Ellen
Yes.
about that further, but the answers from cave woman were so grounded, so centered. I got it was the same feeling I get when I talk to a really good guy
Yes.
I trust.
Yes.
I recognize that immediately, and it's one of the reasons why this book compelled me so much, and I've been carrying it around. It is the real deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm anxious to meet Ellen. I'm looking forward.
Yeah. So I think we'll go ahead and we're going to bring Ellen in a little bit early. I'm going to go ahead and give a warm welcome to the amazing Ellen Archer. Hello, Ellen. Can you hear
Hi,
us? Are
Ellen.
you?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
My gosh. Welcome.
Ellen, I'm
Welcome. We are
excited
so
to meet
excited
you.
to talk to you. We have your book.
Awesome. Crazy.
Yeah. And I know our audience, they've been giving me feedback. They've been reading your book as
Yeah.
well.
Ellen, I wanted very much to meet you because when I'm with a book that I love and I feel the presence of the author, you start to feel like a friend to me.
Oh,
I just wanted to meet you. I have so much respect for you.
oh my
Uh,
gosh.
everybody heard me say this before. I don't know if you heard it, but I do spirit writing myself. I have notebooks where I have sections for different guides. And what I loved about your book is I felt the authenticity of what you were doing. The way Cave Woman spoke to you was very much like when I have a really good, solid guide that I trust. So I just commend you on this. What a beautiful job you've done. And I feel this book is going to be of great service to a lot of people. I'm not addicted to drugs or alcohol personally, but I learned a lot about myself in here. Some profound things, and I should let Whimsy talk.
Well, I wanted to just say, first off, thank you for writing the book. And if you can talk a little bit about when did you first begin writing the book, and how did the book first come about? And if you can just talk a little bit about how this book came about.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this book club. It's such a brilliant idea. And thank you for choosing my book and having me here. So it really started as a journal. I was so angry one day that I didn't think I could survive. I just thought I'd explode. And I remembered about left hand, right hand writing. And I thought if there's anybody I could talk to in the world, and I knew I wanted it somebody, when we lived in healthy, wise communities. So I just grabbed a notebook and wrote, Dear Cave Woman. And honestly, basically, it was just curse words at first. I was so angry. But then, like Cave Woman wrote, keep going.
Well, yeah, that reminds me a little of Julia Cameron's Artist Way, where she tells people to do morning pages. She's basically what you said. Don't worry if, like you said, curse words came out. Just put anything on the paper to open up your channel to get it going.
Yeah. So she would just encourage me, a little bit, and I would, I was like, okay, and I'd write some more curse words, and eventually it just, turned into a dialogue.
It sure did. I found it very compelling.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so thrilled to hear that. It didn't become a book for quite a while. I mean, I didn't get the idea to turn it into a book.
I'm glad you did.
It was just my outlet,
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I feel also like there's two worlds happening simultaneously. You get that impression very much that this is not one book. There's the life you're going through as the person who's basically, it's three-dimensional. It's the three-dimensional world that you're in, trying to stay clean and sober. And then there's this whole mystical other world that we think of as not real. But by the end of it, you begin to, the cave woman world becomes real, and then you forget. I found myself forgetting her. Was that intentional?
Well, I mean, it's lovely to hear. I don't, if I could do that on purpose, I would have. But it's
Yeah.
funny that you'd mentioned that because, I rewrote it. I worked with a book coach and I did a lot of rewrites. But the cave woman stories from her time just kind of came
That's
and
so.
just kind of flowed out of me and
Yes.
required the least amount of rewriting.
I mean, Ellen, it's just exhilarating whenever I do this. So I understand what you're going through. It truly takes on a life of its own.
Yeah.
I once worked on a screenplay. It wasn't successful, but I wrote a screenplay where I mostly channeled. And there were times where I was trying to keep up with it on the keyboards because it was just flowing through me so fast. And the spirits were so impassioned to talk. They wanted their voices heard. Did you find that for yourself when Cave Woman spoke to you?
Mm. Well, yeah, it would surprise me, things she would say, I mean, you can see that Syl is very skeptical. And it's like, she's not even quite believing what's happening.
If I can say this, that's how sometimes I know what I'm writing is authentic, because I do question it. Like, it's like, I wouldn't have written this. So that tells me in itself that it was channeled to me when it's clearly not my words. And you had that sensation. There was a quote you had. You said, during rest and play, the work you've done takes hold. And that resonated strongly with me. I'm a bit whimsy also because I tend to be a workaholic. I tend to just go, crack the whip on myself. And I have to remind myself, you don't integrate these things unless you take time to just be quiet. And you pointed out rest and play. So I love that quote. And if you could elaborate upon that, please.
Well, that's so much the basis of mind body coaching is releasing the pressure we put on ourselves, the pressure culture puts on us to produce all the time, to be a workhorse. And I mean, even Syl goes through a period after she gets sober of workaholism.
Yeah.
And it's just, we can strive and we can do as much as we possibly can, but unless we take the time, like you said, I love the word integrate. It's
big time.
Well, the other thing I got was that she starts to get her act together. This is the thing I took away from her character, and starts working the program and asking these profound questions and doing all this internal work on herself. And then she starts looking at the people around her. Well, you're committing crimes at work. Wait a minute, you're supposed to be the functional people. So all of a sudden Syl's character, she becomes conscious of, she's consciously aware of the work she needs to do, which in and of herself, whereas I think a lot of the people she interacts with at work, etc., they're kind of sleepwalking. They're kind of unplugged.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cave Woman helps remind her, let's stay conscious, because it's so easy to slip back into that, sleepwalking.
Well, I would imagine the more enlightened you became, the more conscious you were to the behavior of other people and how people many times are like sleepwalking zombies.
Yeah. I mean, we see it every day in politics.
Did you feel that she was something do you feel like she was something that existed deep inside of you, a primordial part of you that ultimately you were talking to a primitive part of yourself, a memory of yourself?
Well, I think it's the wisdom we carry from generations, that we used to actively sit around a fire each night and tell stories and, pass that wisdom along. And we don't really do that. I mean, little communities like this are popping up where we're actively doing that. And I forgot the question.
I think that we were just.
Oh yeah, I remember So I call her my inner wisdom at times, or my inner advocate. I've been liking that lately.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting what you were talking about how we used to sit around, we would communicate with each other. You talk in the book about tribal beliefs, society in general. Something I took away from it about how I have wrote down here a quote you had: addiction comes from places where asking for help is considered shameful. And it's all right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But our society tries to control us by shaming us, and that makes us afraid to ask for help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's almost a setup for addiction.
Yes. Could you please elaborate upon that? Because I thought that was fascinating when you talked about it in your book.
Well, I'm working on a class right now called Recovery and ADHD Unshamed.
Uh-huh.
And so I've really been doing a deep dive into shame, and it was very, very prevalent in my childhood. My father was a narcissist. And yeah. So, I was pretty much shamed every day. And that unshaming process, and, the shame of asking for help, it's overwhelming. And it took me years. I just felt so ashamed to ask for help. And not just with addiction, but before I got help for addiction, I actually overcame chronic pain first.
I saw that. Yes.
And so, even asking for help with that, like outside of the regular, normal medical community,
I truly empathized with you. I was a very bullied child, so I know about being shamed. Yeah. Every day of my life, I was shamed. I got it from my mother. I got it from the kids at school. So I totally understood where you were coming from. And it took me a long time before I had the courage to just say, I need help. It's okay to ask for help.
Absolutely.
I think
you moved me very much.
Yeah, that was, it smacks right. You hit on the issue of shame a lot, like right in the center of the book. She gets really down to it. And shame is the thing I think that blocks us from looking at ourselves. And if we can't look at ourselves and look at our shadow, we really can't heal ourselves. And the fact that you go through all of that and you describe it so beautifully.
You did.
The other thing I really like that she talks about is the hive mind, and this idea, maybe we were more telepathic back then, but you think about people that want to go out and do outdoor schools, hunting, where they live in the wild, nature schools, and they teach people to live together in a pack and to work together collectively and cooperate in a way that we've forgotten in the Western world. And that kind of hive mind, where everybody knows where everybody else is, everybody's accounted for, everyone is beholden to everyone else. We've really lost that. Maybe we lost it through agriculture, the Industrial Revolution, but I think this disconnection we have to our tribes, our communities, our work, I think it's the source of a lot of our unhappiness, a lot of our shame, and then ultimately what happens to Syl, she becomes so disconnected that you try to self-medicate. You could argue that is also a form of spirituality. A person is trying to find their way out of pain, only it's a warped sense of spirituality through addiction.
Yeah. You even mentioned that shame, I'm paraphrasing when I say can be positive, but shame propels us to get help, and it reminds us to keep reaching and striving for healthier connections. And I'm glad you pointed that out in the book. It's because to me that was a positive aspect, because I'm a big believer that not everything is just all negative or all positive. It's not black or white. There's many different meanings behind that, and you brought out that about shame.
Yeah, sure. I think there's positive aspects to every emotion, and it's that forced shame. I think I call it in the book, that unrelenting shame that you and I both had in this culture. Growing up, that is so damaging that we forget, oh yeah, a little bit of shame isn't such a bad thing,
That's true. I mean, look what you have created here. I just feel your book is such a gift to people.
Thank you.
Yeah, we liked it a lot.
I loved it.
I have. Do you have one more question before we close? I think we're gonna have to close pretty soon. But do you have one more question before we close?
No, I was just going to comment that the book was sent to me by Whimsy, and she said we're going to interview you in a week, and reading it, and I just became
devoured it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's dog-eared, the pages.
Oh my gosh.
We liked it a lot.
And if
I'm so glad.
Say this, I think you're a very brave woman. You're brave. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Anyway,
not just brave, but boy, you know what I was thinking when I was reading this is, again, I don't struggle with addiction either. Well, I get ice cream,
yes,
but I think that this book can help a lot of people get it together.
yeah,
You know, because any going through divorce or whatever you're going through,
Yes.
because it reminds you of who you are, and it's not all that other crap. I mean, she doesn't just have to deprogram herself; she has to cut the cords with everything that makes Western society so screwed up. I mean, like the end of the book, she starts to realize the people around her, I think, are more screwed up than she is towards the end of the book. You know, it's like, I don't know. Anyway, so my final question to you before we close today, Ellen, is will you write a sequel? Because we'd like a second book.
I've already started it.
God, you allude to that on the back of the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's underway.
Right, great. And you
The
will,
healing-
yeah. So will you come back again for book 2?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime.
Wow.
Please do.
Thank you so
Please
much.
do.
A
Well,
million thank yous.
Excited to meet you, Ellen. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah.
See your
And thank you so much to all of you at home who could hang out with us for Taco Tuesdays, to our very own Debbie Brady, who was kind enough to help get us out of the craziness of today. Also, shout out to Joel Tilson, Geocosmic Valentine, Melanie Harmon, and everybody else who helped out today. Thank you so much to Ellen Archer, amazing author. We really feel honored that you could come today and be with us. And we look forward to seeing your work in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank
Be
you.
well, everyone. And we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.